everybody, and welcome back to GOALbridge Saves Football. What a weekend of football we've got in the title race as Arsenal go to Old Trafford. Could it be the end of the Arsenal title race? And how bad would that be if it was Man United to stop it? Also got a massive bit of news around another major issue in the Premier League that's not getting the air it should do. Well, guess what? We're going to give it some air, aren't we, Will?
Yeah, I'll give it some air. Bloody too right, I'm going to give it some. I don't know what it is because you've not revealed it to me yet, but when it comes, I'm going to blow some smoke on it and blow their little house down.
Great stuff. Combinations there of a pig and a wolf.
Yeah.
Maybe.
A lot of pigs on the brain, actually, because I've been watching Clarkson's Farm.
Which you mentioned twice. Where's the sponsorship money? Is Caleb giving you little backhanders? Can you mention it? Yeah. Anyway, we're also going to be doing Premier League Team of the Season as well.
Yeah, I should bloody hope so. I've been preparing this for months.
Good. We're doing Premier League Team of the Season as well, which I think we will come on to in a moment, actually. I'm just going to get the air on the topic here. Injuries. Massive season injuries. Newcastle, Man United, Chelsea, Brighton.
Villa had quite a lot, to be fair.
Yeah. I feel that this is something that needs to be highlighted with VAR and everything else as the Premier League. And I feel it's something else that's been swept under the carpet, Will, and everybody at home. In November, there was an article that went out that there was a between 15 and 20% injury increase compared to the previous Premier League season. We don't have the stats now. Why is it that nobody is talking about this when we know everybody's having loads and loads of injuries? This needs, I get tired of having to implore professional media outlets and journalists to give fans what they want. So I'm putting this out there. We want the facts. We want the stats, because if the Premier League is presiding and hiding over these stats, then they need to be given the light of day, because if we're getting more and more injuries to that extent, 15 to 20%, then it is a bigger issue than we even thought.
Yeah, well, also, I'm not a scientist, Mark, if I can shock you. But
the one from Bart Simpson, from The Simpsons. Yeah, that's what that was.
You done a little fart.
No.
You okay?
Yeah.
So I just got to say the word scientist now without thinking of you making that noise. But if you add more time on to the end of the game when players are tired and weary, to coin a Blues phrase, that is when the injuries are going to occur. And it feels like that's just the common thread there of, like, I mentioned about the ball being in play less, so that's why the time is getting added on. And obviously it was probably done for the right reasons, but if we are getting those injuries, plus with the athletic way that football is played now, isn't it? How many times have we chatted on here about it being formulaic, it being more athletic, like players are becoming... To be fair, Michael Owen spoke about it, which, give me a chance, hear me out, of terms of a lack of skill going out of the game and players almost becoming a bit more robotic. Athletic.
He's read that somewhere.
But still, you can't be commanding this amount of many games and minutes and like the intensity. Like if you're playing for a big Ange side, hell for leather. I mean, no wonder why they're getting so many injuries.
I just think it's something that we need the facts on, and I would implore you, the great community, to go and demand them, find them, and we will bring them into the podcast. It's a bit of homework for you. There was a 15 to 20% increase in injuries in November based on the previous season. Where are we at now, considering I think injuries have been consistently bad all season? And again, you've sort of hit the nail on the head, Will, because you knew where I'm going with this. I was going to talk about added time, the increasing games. This will dilute. My worry is that I look at Newcastle, Chelsea, United, Brighton this season, and there's no doubt that their season could have been better, and it has been derailed by a relentless number of injuries. Who will it be next? And how do you stop it? Because everyone's going to go into a Euros, couple of weeks off, playing more games, the Champions League increases. Will it be Villa next season? Could it be Spurs next season? And look at Man City and Arsenal. Man City have actually seen less injuries this season than they have in previous seasons. Is there something sinister behind that? No. I think Man City have probably invested in the right areas to make sure that they don't around rotation, squad depth, the type of players that they're buying. There's a science to this. And I think when you look at this season, I could take 2 or 3 players off Arsenal, they wouldn't be in a title race. But whatever their science, whatever their reasoning, they've found a way to not be hit by injuries. Is it luck or not? I don't know.
Well, also, there's a more general non-scientific point of that when it just feels like we've had a lot of football over, like, since COVID and the stoppage, the rearranging of the Euros, the World Cup being moved, it feels like this end of the season is the first proper end of the season, and then we're going into a Euros, and, you know, supporting a League One team now, we won't be playing football from until the very start of August now. So that feels like a proper, you know, when you're starting to crave football again, which I don't think we've had for a long time. So maybe just the absolute relentlessness of it and the back-to-back nature of it, especially if you're playing at the top level.
Somebody should do something about it, though, because it's we all love football.
But then it goes back to, sorry, just to interrupt you there, in terms of I hate it when you get a Jurgen Klopp or a Ten Hag or a Pep going, we've just got so many games. There is that sort of double-sided sword to this of, like, it is a privilege to be playing that many games when you're playing at the high level. Now, he would say, how many times I've had half 12 and TNT, and I said, Jurgen, I ain't booking the games, calm down. But there's a privilege to the pressure.
There is, but it's also unsustainable. Like, you look at the amount of games they have to play and the squads that they've got, and then the added minutes. I just think there's a real big hit piece there that's going to blow the doors off.
Got more Champions League games coming.
On the demand of Premier League players. Look, I'm never going to be sympathetic to players who are earning hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, but what I will be sympathetic to is fans. And if you're watching, I don't know, Chelsea play against Liverpool at Anfield and half your team's injured and tired, what is the spectacle? Oh, let's get more games out. Let's get more money. It's one of the worst examples of bad business. Really, it's like, you know, let's do restaurants. Let's fill the restaurant. Let's, you know, the food suffers, and I think that this is where we're heading towards. We need to. We're just about to do Premier League team of the season, and I think, are some players not in there because they're tired or because they've been injured or because they fell away at the end of the season? And there's a lot of things that are not preventable in football, but we've spoken about VAR in depth, and I think this is another thing where player welfare is important. And, you know, I'm not saying that we need to play for 3 months like they do in the NFL, and then you have 9 months off, or one game a week like they do in the NFL. Maybe but what we do need to do is, I don't know whether it's something around financial fair play. I mean, look, there's not an infinite number of players, but I think squads almost need 22, like Man City now, real massive squads of players. But
also, at the top level, you're not going to have that joined up way of thinking, because with VAR in the Premier League, it can get solved because hopefully the Premier League are in charge of that. That's up to them. But when you look at, right, Premier League have got what they want for Premier League. They probably deep down do want the 40 games a season. Then you go to UEFA, they're adding more Champions League games of the season. Then they're adding more games to the Euros and more teams. Then you got FIFA, who've got their World Cup, who are trying to make that bigger, but then they got the Club World Cup, which they want biannually.
Well, look at Newcastle and Villa, who are going to Australia at the end of the season as well.
Yeah, but I don't have a problem with that so much. It's just that the top level for the big games, and then you want to be creating a Club World Cup that's like competitive and sustainable. So you just got three parties immediately working against one another to get their bit, and the ultimate thing of that is player welfare is not going to be at the top of the agenda. No,
I think it's a big problem, and that's why I'd like to know the stats, because sometimes you have an opinion and people go, well, I've got a different opinion. And I think we need to know the stats on injuries this season compared to last season, the increase. And yeah, I think it's a big problem. But look, we're here to talk. Get your comments in. What are your thoughts? Is it a problem? Is it not a problem? I think it's another hidden, swept under the carpet thing that, you know, journalists don't want to talk about. And they should. I think it'd be a very interesting piece, and the stats wouldn't be that difficult to get hold of.
Maybe we should just do it.
Maybe we should just do it. Premier League team of the season. Will's got his candidates for this. You're going to put yours in. We're going to have our own. There will be differences.
Well, I think in traditional style, if it's GOALbridge Safe Football, I've got a number of names, and you can, of course, throw some more into them. But let's just say you, Mark GOALbridge, have the final say on this.
Okay.
Because nobody really cares about my opinion. Right. In goal, my nominations are as followed. Thomas Kaminski. Emi Martinez, and that's all I got down on here.
What about Vicario?
Vicario
fell off a bit.
Yeah.
Pickford done very well.
Jordan Pickford has a very, very good last couple of weeks.
David Raya is going to win the Golden Glove.
Yeah, but who won the Golden Glove last year?
David De Gea.
And last time I saw David De Gea, he was training at Altrincham.
But that's just a joke. Like David De Gea.
Onana's up there as well, isn't he? In terms of shots, I think. Goals prevented.
Yeah, but he's a terrible goalkeeper, he is. I think that Martinez probably is my favourite, but I'm actually going to go really controversial. I mean, Alisson's the best goalkeeper in the league.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But I'm doing this based on season. Otherwise, it's boring.
This season he did that. Was it the start of the season when he made that?
Newcastle save.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was brilliant that day. I think across the course of the season, I'm probably going to be controversial here, but I'm going to give it David Raya. And I'll tell you why. Because the pile-on at the start of the season from the British media, because it wasn't a British goalkeeper, and the balls of steel of Arteta to go against that media and put Raya in, and it's been totally and utterly justified. And Arsenal defence is very, very good, and you need a good goalkeeper. So I'm going to give it Raya.
Shall I bring that up when I interview Aaron Ramsdale this week? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, see what he says.
Yeah, see what he says.
Right back.
I like Ramsdale. Look, Ramsdale...
Where do you think... We were having a chat with... Where was I? Lads down the pub Saturday. Where does Ramsdale go next?
Might have to go abroad.
Yeah, because I would say Newcastle, but Nick Pope's still an outstanding goalie, probably on a good contract.
Look, Ramsdale's been very, very unlucky. I know we're going off on tangent. He's been very unlucky. He's a very good goalkeeper. I agree with the Raya deal that Arteta did. It was brave and it worked. And if it didn't work, he'd have got a pile-on. Ramsdale would be a very good Premier League goalkeeper at a Palace or maybe even a Spurs or something like that. But there's not really a place for him, so he's probably going to have to go abroad.
Right backs, I've got Ben White, Trent Alexander-Arnold. I was going to put Kyle Walker in there, but I know you disagree. That's all I've got down so far.
Again, I think I'd probably throw Spurs, Porro in. I think he's had a good season, but fell off a little bit again, early start to the season. For me, it's Ben White or Trent. And again, I'm going to go Ben White. I'm going to go Ben White.
Pick the Arsenal 11?
I know. Well, defensively, they have been very good. They are also potentially still going to win the league. And I always thought that Ben White was a centre-back playing at right-back. But actually...
this year he's been so good.
I just think he's an all-rounder. And as we know with Trent, defensively, he can still be a bit weak. He's had a few injuries as well. So I think I would be stunned if Ben White's not played more games than Trent. And I think across a season, for player of the season, Ben White for me.
Well, then we're a bit stuck here because if you're trying to move away from Arsenal as a centre-back pair and you can't look further than Gabriel and Saliba, who have been the stalwarts of that defensive.
I think that...
I've got James Tarkowski down as well.
Yeah, he ain't getting in. Who else you got? Van Dijk?
I got Van Dijk down. Van der Ven. But I'm really pushing Tarkowski.
He ain't getting in.
Played every game this season.
I think that, if I'm being completely honest, I like centre-back pairings, and this is what makes it always very difficult because you could easily go Saliba and Van Dijk, and I think Van Dijk has had a really good season. And the thing about a Premier League team of the season is that people get the players do it themselves. They get very locked in on what's happening at that point when they do the vote, and at the moment, there are players that probably weren't as good as they were up until maybe February. So I think Van Dijk and Saliba would be my centre-back pairing for the season. But I also understand that a centre-back pairing is a pairing. And when you think about Gabriel and Saliba, they are a pairing and it is the best defence. So I wouldn't have a problem with people going Gabriel and Saliba, but I think Van Dijk has proved a lot of people wrong this season. And I think he was brilliant up until Liverpool's wheels fell off a little bit. And that's not necessarily on him. So I'm going to go Van Dijk and Saliba.
Okay, left back, I got Gvardiol, who's sort of worked in that inverted
I'm not
left back.
Him in.
Robertson, but again, he had a long spot. I think we put him in our...
I know who I'm going to go for left back.
Go on then.
Udogie, Spurs. Who else you got?
Aït-Nouri.
Done all right. I think Udogie at Spurs has proven me wrong. I thought in that Chelsea game back in November when he was on the second yellow and he was just almost desperately trying to get sent off and they got him absolutely... I thought, what a waste of time. But then after that, I've watched him and I think they've missed him in the last few weeks as well. And I think arguably one of the signings of the season. And I think the big reason he's in is he's had a really good season across the season. But like you say, Robertson's been out. Arsenal don't really have a left back. Vardiel's not really a left back, and he's been a bit dodgy at times.
Remember who we all chose last year?
Luke Shaw.
No.
Who?
Estupiñán.
Yeah, he's had a bad season at Brighton as well. Luke Shaw's had a bad season. Chilwell's had a bad season. So the Brentford left back who we all like, I think he's been out for most of the season.
Rico Henry.
Yeah, so I think it's for left back. Dan Burn been a bit up and down as well. It's not been a great year for the left back, and I think therefore Udogie does deserve it.
Okay, midfield. Now we've got three in midfield. I'm going to start with my sort of two. Not defensive ones, but basically I've got sort of a cam role.
Okay.
So I've got Rice, Rodri, Conor Gallagher, Alexis McAllister, Douglas Luiz.
Is that just one holding midfielder?
No, that's like two I've got like a 2 and then a 1 in front, basically.
Okay, so my 2 behind the 1 in front. Well, I think Bruno Guimaraes has had a good season as well.
Bruno Guimaraes should have put down.
Yeah, I do think that you can lose sight of the fact that, look at Cole Palmer in a Chelsea team that's been crap. He's been good. And I think Bruno Guimaraes has been fantastic for Newcastle this season when they've had their struggles, and also played in Europe and played well as well in the Champions League. I'm not going to put Rodri in, which I think is going to shock a lot of people because he's the best holding midfielder in the world.
So Man City are about to win the Premier League and we've got to midfield and we've got no Manchester City players in there so far.
No, I'm not going to put Rodri in.
Okay.
Because I just think it goes against what I'm about. You know, I don't like Man City. No, it goes against what I'm about because I think Premier League team of the season, there should be an element of that season and expectations and exceeding expectations.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And Rodri is admittedly the best player in the world in his position, but I'd expect him to do exactly what he's done.
But therefore you're punishing him for being so good.
No, I'm not. I think Rodri's gone in and done what I would expect, which is brilliance. Yeah. Whereas Declan Rice, I would not have said he would be Declan Rice has had as good a season as Rodri. And I wouldn't have expected him to settle into Arsenal so quickly. £100 million as well. For me, it's got to be Rice or Rodri. I'm not putting them both in the same team. Okay. I don't like that. So I would go Declan Rice. I want to put Bruno Guimaraes in there. I think Douglas Luiz has been good for Aston Villa, but I want to put Bruno Guimaraes in there. So I'm going to go Rice and Bruno G.
Well, I'm surprised because you've been banging the drum all season about Alexis McAllister. And you're not going to go for him? No, because I feel that it's been a bit of a drop-off when it's really mattered. And I think Alexis McAllister is a really, really good player. But I think that there's some Liverpool players that have fell at the last hurdle in an inexplicable way. So I think it's a bit of a learning curve. I think Alexis McAllister's had a brilliant season for Liverpool, but I think he needs to learn from this experience. A bit like Arsenal last year, where you'd probably say there's a few players like Saliba and Gabriel who at the end of last season, Saliba was injured, but they've learnt from it and they're even better now. So I think McAllister's definitely notable. I mean, I was going to give him Player of the Year about a month ago. Yeah. So in that role, just in front of that, I've got down Cole Palmer, Martin Odegaard, and Ross Barkley. What are you laughing at?
It's not Ross Barkley.
Why not? Because you got to look at a team that's over-exceeded, and Luton Town definitely did that. Gibbs White you could put in there as well. He's had a great season.
This is really hard because it's a bit like Gabriel and Van Dijk. It's going to split opinion in a team of the season. Who plays with Saliba, Van Dijk, or Gabriel? I think that's such a difficult one to choose. I think who deserves to be in the midfield, McAllister or Bruno Guimaraes? You know, I've gone Bruno G. And now in the number 10 role, I'm going to go Odegaard or Palmer. I mean, De Bruyne is still the best, but he's missed half a season. Yeah. So for Player of the Year, no, I can't put De Bruyne in there. But again, like Rodri, he is the best. Odegaard or Palmer, I love Odegaard. I think he's fantastic. But to be honest, up until Christmas, I thought he was struggling a bit in a midfield that had Havertz in it. I think across the season, for what he was brought in and to be a golden boot contender up until Haaland at the weekend, I'm going to put Cole Palmer there.
Wow.
It's against what I'm not picking, but I really want to make this clear. I would take Alexis McAllister over Bruno G. I would take Odegaard over Palmer. I would take Alexis McAllister over. No, maybe I wouldn't. But my point is, I'm trying to do it based on team of the season, based on their performance across a 9-month season. I can't put De Bruyne in.
That's what it should be, Ross Barkley.
Well, you know, the chat might think that as well. The fact that it's quite difficult is quite good. And the fact that players that you might not expect, like normally you'd go De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Rodri as the midfield. The fact that we're not doing that.
And technically you could still do that.
Yeah, you could do because it's probably the best midfield.
Bernardo Silva's had a fantastic season as well.
You could easily do it. This is but fair play to those players like the McAllisters, the Douglas Luiz's, the Bruno G's, the Cole Palmers. You know, these players getting in there is great.
So we move up to the front three.
Yeah.
Do you want to start on the wings or down the middle?
I'm going to go on the right. I think obviously Mo Salah has still had a really good season. I think off the right, you know, does Bowen play right or up front? You could put Bowen there. He's had a good season.
I've got Foden and Saka down.
You got Foden there and you got Saka. I mean, for me, it comes down to, I'm going to whack myself out on the mic there. It comes down to Foden or Saka because I think Salah's a bit like Rodri. He's the best right winger. And he's had a good season, but I would have expected that from him. And again, since the injury in the AFCON, he's not been as good, which is half a season. So I think that it's Foden or Saka, and Foden's been magnificent this season. And so is Saka. It's so, again, it's difficult. I'm going to go with, it pains me, but I think across the season, it has got to be Foden. I really want to put Saka in, but I've actually gone on honesty there.
Yeah.
Because I don't like Man City.
No. And that's the first Manchester City player in the team.
But I think Foden does deserve to be in there, yeah.
Okay, on the left, I've just got down Anthony Gordon. I feel like we're both agreed on that.
Well, it's Rashford or Gordon. There's got to be more than Gordon on there. I mean, Martinelli was doing well to a point. You've got...
But you feel like Diaz
Man City haven't really solved it. Doku had a hot spot.
Yeah.
Diaz at Liverpool.
But then you can look at...
Garnacho at Man United.
Is Elise off the right? Is he?
Lisi's off the right.
But obviously that's only been like a real hot spell recently.
I feel like the left-hand side in the Premier League this season has underperformed.
It's all inverted though now, isn't it?
Yeah. So we struggled with the left back and gave it to Udogie because a lot of people have been injured or not performed well. And again, on the left-hand side, where are the Grealishes, the Rashfords, the Diaz, the Martinellis? There's been a real lack. I mean, is there anyone in the even in the bottom half of the league? There's not like anybody that's really stood out there.
But especially the bottom half, because I bring in the Crystal Palace players, but it's all like streaks, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like a consistency and Crystal Palace could finish well, but even Everton, I feel a lot of the Pickford shout was around that week where they got 3 wins and 3 clean sheets.
I suppose technically you could throw Son there.
Yeah.
But again, I don't feel look, we're not giving it as a sympathy vote.
RB, is he off the... Well, he's sort of like a second striker.
Yeah, I think... It would be nice to have another person there where you go, this is close, but Anthony Gordon's not there on a sympathy vote. I think across the season, he's been absolutely incredible. He's got to go to the Euros. His interview was so impressive with Neville, wasn't it? And he's obviously very dedicated to his football, and you can see the rewards from that. The best game I've seen him play this season was up against City, where he made Kyle Walker look really, really stupid.
He looked phenomenal. I know it was against Burnley, but he's still...
I think he thoroughly deserves it. And that to me is the epitome of a Premier League team of the season, having someone like that in. Brilliant.
Strikers.
It's going to be controversial.
Haaland.
Yeah.
Watkins.
Yeah.
Isak.
Yeah.
Solanke.
Yeah. All good shouts. I've made my mind up about this.
Rasmus Højlund.
I wish he was.
Again, he'd be, if he was having any streaks that he was having.
Yeah. But like I say, Garnacho, Mainu, they've had reasonable seasons for United, but they wouldn't be in this conversation at all. It comes down to Isak's been amazing. Solanke's done reflectively very, very well for Bournemouth. Erling Haaland's the best striker in the world. I'm giving it to Watkins.
No, I'd agree on Watkins.
I think and
that pains me to say. Just
consistently across the season, when you look at the stats and goals, the assists and goals, that's the thing that's impressive for me.
Yeah.
I think everybody else there, Solanke and Haaland are goal scorers. Isak's got that creativity about him. But Watkins has done it all season, consistently. I think it has to be Watkins.
Yeah. So do you want to run down for your team that you've picked there? In goal, if you can remember, you went for...
I'll go through it, yeah. So my goalkeeper, start me off with my goalkeeper. Oh, yeah, okay. So I've got David Raya in goal, Ben White right back, Saliba and Van Dijk at centre-back, Udogie at left-back, Rice, Bruno Guimaraes and Cole Palmer as my midfield 3, and then Foden on the right, Gordon on the left and Watkins up front. Now, by no means is that the best 11 in the Premier League, but based on the season, 9 months, availability, form, consistency, that's my team.
The best thing about that is I just think everyone will agree on that, and then that's it sorted.
Yeah. Don't bother putting your comments in unless you disagree. We don't expect to see many disagreements there at all.
No, I think that's absolutely spot on, and it's probably the end of the debate.
But even then, like if you asked me that this afternoon after a pint, I'd probably put Saka on the right.
You're not having 4 more Peronis.
I'd put Alexi McAllister in.
You'd put Howard Webb off the top as a target
Gabriel
man.
in. Yeah. What about manager of the season?
Well, let's go through it. Arteta has had an improvement.
I think manager of the season we're going to have to wait.
Why?
Because
I've got it.
I think you can. I think you can do team of the season now.
I got it.
No one's going to really change it. But manager of the season, if Arteta wins the league, it's got to be him. If he doesn't win the league, it's got to be Emery.
See who it is. Rob Edwards.
But if they get relegated, he's not.
No, I disagree. Rob Edwards.
You got relegated when Everton and Forest got points deductions and you still got relegated.
Don't be disrespectful.
It's not Rob Edwards.
I got Rob or Gary O'Neill.
Gary O'Neill's done very well.
You show me.
And they should have 10 more points.
Premier League predictions at the start of the season.
They were going down.
18th, 17th, I think, Gary O'Neill.
I can't wait to do my
Unai
Premier League prediction. I said Emery, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Arteta.
For me, if Arsenal win the league, we'll revisit this, but if Arsenal win the league, you've got to give it to Arteta. They've been magnificent. If Arsenal don't win the league, I'll give it Emery for getting Champions League football with Villa.
I'd have to concede and be gracious in defeat to our local rivals.
You wouldn't give it to Pep, though, would you, if they win the league? Because, again, you'd expect City to win the league.
Yeah.
I'd actually say if City win the league, they've won it by not as much as I thought they would as well.
Yeah, but then we're getting into sort of realms of like, what are we even doing anymore?
But I think that's the problem with the Premier League.
No, I know, and that's a different debate.
Again, I don't want to get into the whole Man City thing, but I predicted they'd win the league and I said they'd win it by Christmas. The fact that Arsenal and Liverpool pushed them as they did, I think is because Man City probably have had a bit of a hangover from the treble, as we've seen in the Champions League.
Yeah.
But
well, can they
still win the double?
Can they be pushed at the weekend mark because they're away at Fulham, 12:30 kickoff? Can Fulham get in amongst them? That atmosphere can be tepid to damn right average sometimes at Craven Cottage.
Well, it's the Premier League predictions time, and this is slim pickings, but this would be a game as an Arsenal fan where you would... It's basically Fulham away and Spurs away in the next 3 days. If they win both of those, it's over.
Yeah.
Forget about it. So... I just think Man City, I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, their win ratio in the final 5 games of the Premier League is ridiculous. Yeah. And we saw it against Wolves. Wolves are a decent side, and you'd think...
Yeah, but this is at Craven Cottage, Mark.
I know.
This isn't the Etihad.
But...
Cottage will be...
But what's the angle for Fulham?
You've got your Paulinas, Muniz scoring goals for fun.
Yeah.
Can he get at them?
I think...
Edison, is he right since he took that knock?
I actually think that this is going to be, again, I can see another 4 or 5-0 to
No, I don't.
Man City.
I'm going to go 1-0 Fulham.
I'd love it. I'll bloody love it if Fulham beat them.
Kevin
Keegan managed Fulham as well.
Yeah, he did. He got them back up, didn't
he? Yeah.
Will you be
What's he up to now, Keegan?
I used to listen to, I still listen to it, a podcast called Quickly Kevin's 90s Football, and they look out for 90s football, and the last known sighting of them, Kevin Keegan was doing some meet awards as a guest speaker.
I just wonder whether Keegan, he's always struck me as a bit of a free spirit. I wonder with Kevin Keegan, if you don't know who Kevin Keegan was, I think he used to play for Liverpool.
No, do you know who Kevin Keegan is?
Yeah. Went and played for Hamburg, won European Footballer of the Year. Managed
was he in England in the 80s then?
Yeah, I think so.
They had a bad time in the 80s, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't remember him as a player, but I remember him getting Newcastle promoted, nearly won the league.
I remember he was England manager.
England
he did
manager.
That post-match conference, didn't he? Where he was like, basically said it was his last game and he was quit against Germany.
Used to be on the telly a lot and hasn't been on for a while, but not for anything sinister. Retired.
Maybe he just want to do it.
Yeah. Don't know what are you up to, Kevin? If anyone knows what Kevin Keegan's up to, let us know. We'll have comments saying, Mark, saw him in Whitby. He was buying fish and chips, just walked out.
Dropped his curry sauce. He looked in a foul mood. Yeah. He was absolutely livid.
He's enjoying life somewhere, hopefully.
Yeah, and hopefully he's still enjoying football, because that's the main thing.
Bit like Terry Venables. He lives in... No, I just realised Terry Venables passed away, didn't he?
Yeah. It's a good documentary on Prime. Well, I don't know if it's good. I've not watched it yet.
I like Terry.
Bournemouth, Brentford, we can leave. Everton, Sheffield United, that's... we've gone from a couple of weeks ago me saying, look, we've got a title race going into the final game, we've got Champions League, we've got Europa League, we've got a relegation battle, when really...
You know what, though? In some seasons, the title's done, the top four's done, and the relegation's done. It doesn't always go to final day, so grab what you can.
Yeah. Newcastle, Brighton, Tottenham, Burnley, West Ham, Luton.
Tottenham, Burnley could be interesting in the fact that Burnley need a result and Tottenham are crap, but...
Tottenham could still, if they win their game in hand, but that's against Manchester City.
So Tottenham are 7 points off Villa. Who Villa got this weekend? Oh, Liverpool.
Yeah.
So Tottenham,
that's on the Monday.
If Tottenham beat Burnley, they're 4 points behind them.
Yeah.
If they beat Man City,
then they're 1 point behind.
They're one behind. Well, you know what's final day. Well, we'll talk about that next week. But yeah, I think the big game of the weekend. Who Forest got?
Nottingham Forest, Mark. Have got
Chelsea.
Where are Forest?
Yeah, they've got Chelsea.
Sorry, 5:30 kickoff.
Chelsea. I mean, I expect Newcastle to win.
Mad out that. I couldn't believe it looking at the table that Chelsea have overtaken you.
Yeah, I know. But it's Newcastle and Chelsea for 6th, isn't it? So I'd expect them both.
Do you want 8th? Like, do you want no European football next year?
We will be 8th anyway, because Newcastle will come 6th and Chelsea will come 7th, or vice versa. So,
No, but you can still overtake Chelsea.
No, I don't think we will.
Really?
We're going to do Arsenal, Man United now, aren't we? Oh, we're very interesting. Just on Forest, very quickly. Did you see that Clattenburg left Forest as the referee advisor? And then I saw something about Forest might sue Neville because of what he said about the mafia or something.
Well, I think that's the classic thing of Nottingham Forest, where we were really galvanising up and on their side and they're saying the right thing, and then they've just really tailed it off and haven't dealt with it well. Like the Gary Neville stuff, and the fans were, it was funny to start with, they were chanting Neville as a this and a Carragher is a that, and that was fine, but then it's just like, I don't know, it lost a bit of momentum, didn't it?
Yeah, I think, look, I thought the tweet side of things, as with Arsenal, as with Liverpool, is fantastic, and I think VAR is an absolute joke. But I think suing Gary Neville is not relevant. He is just a pundit, and he should, what he was saying was just something a little bit passionate in the other direction. They really should have just focused in on the PGMOL and the Premier League for me.
Oh, and I think, and it comes off the backdrop of, because he's the Olympiacos own as well, isn't he, the Forest guy? I think he's... so we don't get another letter through. So he's a very passionate man.
We never had a letter, Will.
Sorry.
It was an imaginary letter.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
I just think if you are going to go in, then stay in your lane. Don't go, it's a disgrace, we told the PGMOL not to use that referee, and then, oh, Neville said something, go over there. Because we're not interested in what you think about Carragher or Neville. We're interested in the fact that you made a really good point about the referee, had 3 dodgy decisions, and now you're veering off all over the place.
You see, I thought it was quite funny. Carragher was taking the piss out of Ashley Young yesterday.
No.
He said about they were doing some analysis on Hudson-Odoi, and Carragher was like, we saw a lot of Hudson-Odoi the other week, didn't you? And it was just a nice bit of light banter.
Yeah.
Manchester United versus Arsenal. Game that would usually whet the appetite and still does to some degree, because it's like, this is a bit like, I got told off by one person in the comments, in the comment section, for doing WWE analogies, but this is like a John Cena coming back now to face a Randy Orton. Yeah, I want to see it.
A Randy what?
A Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right, I want to see it, but you just know...
Better than John Cena coming back to face a Randy Rhino.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I would pay to see that
fight.
That
would be a bloodbath. Where's the horn going?
Wow, yeah, and that's a DQ.
Yeah.
They're great competitors. One of them's still at the best, and one of them's a great legacy.
This is dangerous. I mean, get in the comments about this.
The Rhino.
The vast majority are going to say easy win for Arsenal. And I agree. Arsenal, for me, deserve to win the league. They're the best team I've seen since Christmas, and that says a lot when Man City are as good as they are.
Deserves the league.
Yeah, and they do deserve the league. But you know what? I've got this funny feeling I've had for weeks that 75,000 Man United fans ain't going to put up with Arsenal coming and wiping us away.
Yeah, but what's the alternative?
Look, every logical thing is that Arsenal wins this game of football, but it depends. Look, if it's the same 11 against Palace that plays against Arsenal, no amount of atmosphere is going to stop Arsenal winning that game. But if a Rashford and a Martinez and a Luke Shaw are back, then that does improve. I mean, look, you're starting from the sewer, but it does take them up a level or two. VAR. I just get the feeling that, and it's a weird one, because as a United fan, we're not going to finish 6th now anyway. So I'm like, if somebody said to me, Arsenal win that game 2-0 and it means they win the league, part of me sort of like, get on with it.
Yeah, no, I don't.
It's a bit like a gangland hit, isn't it? As long as my hands are I don't know anything, But and a lot of United fans feel like that. They do. They're like, look, this is a meaningless game for us, effectively. But then, obviously, if we get the 3 points, I'll start going, if we beat Newcastle and we beat Brighton, we've got a chance.
But it's a game like that where Ten Hag could win, and then it's almost like you wouldn't forget about the Crystal Palace result. But if you're going into next season, it's just something to hold on to as well, to be like, right, we are going in somewhat of a direction.
We beat Arsenal, we beat Newcastle, we beat Brighton. That's 9 points. It probably does give you a shot at 6th going into an FA Cup final. Yeah. I don't think it'll happen, but I think it's a more dangerous game for Arsenal than form suggests.
Also, and I mean this with all kindness, Europa League could be a better way in than trying to break into the top 4 next season.
Could be. I think Arsenal will win it, but it wouldn't surprise me. It's a bit like when we played Liverpool in the Cup. you're like, Liverpool are going to win, and then somehow something goes on.
It depends where Arsenal are at, because if they're in that nervy state of needing to win, like I almost think it'd be worse if Arsenal are now the challengers, right? When they were going into the end of last season, at that one point, they were like trying to hold off City, weren't they? But it's quite clear now, table aside, that they're fighting for it, aren't they? If they were to go into the Man United game with like City dropping points, I almost think that would put too much pressure on
Man
them.
City will have played before, won't they?
And if they go into that like knowing to win, that's when I worry about Arsenal a little bit. They have sort of got rid of a lot of those demons, but
it'd be a shame if Arsenal...
Imagine if Fulham get a point and then you go and beat Arsenal.
Yeah.
Oh,
that Spurs game's got to have something on it as well, just to make it a little bit of interest. And so Arsenal do need to win. You'd expect Arsenal to win, but I just have a feeling you never know with United. You just never know.
And then Monday night football is Aston Villa against Liverpool, which again feels like two great teams going at each other. You know, we've had some fantastic games. Remember when Villa beat Liverpool 7-2 in lockdown? Yeah,
it's at Villa this. I mean, it's not as big a game as we thought it would be. I mean, I actually thought Liverpool would be in a title race and Spurs would be closer to Villa. I'd say Villa will get something out of that. I'm going to go with a draw.
I feel like Liverpool's performance. Liverpool are back. I'm going to go Liverpool. Excuse me, do you want to do GOALbridge?
Yeah.
Caught up with GOALbridge from last week. Another trounce from you. You had Saka, Isak, João Pedro, and Petrovic clean sheet for 4 points.
Yeah.
Shit-eating grin. And I just had Mateta for 1.
Oh, my God, mate. It's nearly over.
So 65-51.
Yeah, 14-point
gap. 2
gap.
weeks to go.
Well, I'm going to go first this week. And with a 14-point gap, I'm going to go with the Fulham goalkeeper to score. No, not. I'm actually going to go a little bit confident here. And I'm going to go with... I'm going to go De Bruyne for Man City.
Okay, I'm going to just think outside the box then for this one. And I'm going to go for Jeremy Doku.
Good one. Okay, Solanke against Tony, Bournemouth, Brentford. Do you fancy a split? Who do you want?
You choose first, Champions advantage.
I'll go Solanke, yeah.
I will go for, just checking he's not injured, I'll go for Tony.
Lovely stuff. Everton, I've got to go Everton against Sheffield United. I don't know whether he'll be fit.
What's happened to Evan Ferguson? Has he been injured?
His season's over, yeah, he's injured, yeah.
Not even on the injury list on it, though. Is he back now?
He did an Insta post a couple of weeks ago.
Is he all right?
Yeah, he looked happy enough. He just said, hopefully next season will be better than this.
All right.
Everton, I'm just going to go for Dwight McNeil.
I'll go Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, I left that one for you, really.
Thank you, mate.
Tottenham, Burnley.
You don't know what you're getting, do you?
You don't know what you're getting. I think there will be goals. I'm going to go for Son.
Okay, I'll leave that game because Son was the obvious one. I'm going to go to Chelsea versus Forest and just checking I didn't have him. No, I'm going to go for Cole Palmer.
Yeah, obvious one. I'm going to stick with that one. I'm going to go to Jackson.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
I started off at the start of the season thinking he was going to score goals. He let me down. So at the end of the season...
What pick was that? Number 4. So this is off.
Yeah.
Your final pick.
Oh, no, maybe that was... Yeah, that was 4, wasn't it? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, maybe that was 5. I did...
Did Fulham Man City?
No, I've done 5.
Oh, is it my final pick then?
Yeah.
I'll go for Darwin Núñez.
Goalkeeper, I'm going to try and stick on Saturday so I can get all my points in then. I'm going to go with Pope, Newcastle. Is he back? I don't know. Yeah, we'll go with him.
I'll go Pickford.
Good one. That's an open goal, that is. And he'll save it.
And defending... Oh, he's still injured. I was going to go for Craig Dawson for the shits and the gigs. I'll go for... I'll go for John Stones.
Good pick. I'm going to go Tarkovsky.
Wow.
Sheffield United, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely stuff.
Magnificent podcast.
Yeah, great. What a week we've had.
It has been a good week. Get your comments in. Lots for you to get involved in there. If you didn't check out the podcast at the start of the week, very, very good. Give that a listen as well. And we will be back on Monday. It's not a bank holiday, so we'll be back.
Yes, back stronger Monday. Looking forward to it. Have a good week, Mark.
You too, and everyone else. Bye.
Bye.